Welcome to the Mindset Mentor segment on today's Smart Chiropractor Show. Jason, this segment has a very simple title, yet there is so much depth here. We're going to spend a lot of time, and that is, what is your money mindset? I saw this in our show notes. I'm going to kick it over to you to lead in on why this segment and this topic is so critically, and critical is the key word here, critically important for everybody listening and watching out there.
Well, let's tackle this. You know, there's a lot of talk about philosophy. Philosophy is a way of thinking. It's another form of thinking about the word mindset. And, you know, most chiropractors I know are not independently wealthy. They are not trust fund kids. They have not won the lottery. At some level, there is a need to figure out, how do I provide my services in exchange for finances, for money? It's obvious, I think, for most, but it is also one of the most complicated issues that most chiropractors, I'll say most people, I'm not picking on chiropractors, most people have not really figured out how to get their mindset straight with their money philosophy. There's a lot of people that have a lot of confusion about money, in some cases even negative feelings, maybe not about money itself, but about people who have money, about wealthy people. Maybe they've learned some things that, you know, money is the root of all evil, or other types of mindsets about money that I'll just say could be counterproductive to attracting it. And one of the issues is that, you know, money is our currency. It is the energy. It's the thing we use to exchange value. The first place that I think a lot of chiropractors sort of have to come and reconcile with is when we're in the healthcare business, I'll dare say even the life-saving business, which I think is what many of us do. How do you put a price on that? How do you figure out what that's worth? How much is somebody's life, saving their life, giving them their life back, taking them from living in chronic pain to living pain-free, or somewhere within that scale of improving their life so they can live with less pain, more performance, greater clarity, and all the wonderful benefits of chiropractic care? How do you reconcile that you can provide that type of service to somebody and then figure out, how much is that worth? How do I charge them? How much should I earn for that? But here's the real deeper issue. Most chiropractors have a remarkable service to provide people, and yet simultaneously, many, I'll dare say most chiropractors, live with some level of financial stress, some chronic monthly financial tension. I think of it as the word cuffs, chronic financial stress. Month after month after month, many chiropractors suffer from it. They may have gotten numb or immune to suffering from it, that they just call it normal. But here's the question. Do you know the answer to the question, how much money must you earn to not feel financially stressed out? How much money has to come in each and every month so that you can feel free, that you can actually afford to make the choices you want to make? You can run the type of practice you want to run. You can work with the type of people you want to work with, the type of payers you want to work with, or not work with the type of people and not work with the type of payers you don't want to work with. That is what we think of as freedom. Freedom to make the decisions, freedom to make the choices, freedom to work more or less, freedom to work where you want, when you want, with who you want, as much as you want, or as little as you want. That is, to me, the definition of what freedom is in this context. And the only way to really get there is to have your money handled. In fact, let me ask this question. If you're practicing and you think of what you do in your practice, the policies you have, the charges, what you charge, how much it costs to see you, the procedures you have in place, if you think of the way you're practicing now, the messaging, maybe the marketing, maybe the advertising, when you think about your current circumstance, if you think about what you're doing now, and I ask you the question, How would you do it if you didn't need the money? I ask you the question, how far off is what you're doing now from the answer to the question of how you would do it if you didn't need the money? So think about it for a minute. If I didn't need the money, what would my practice look like? Does it look exactly the way it does right now? Or is there some sense of, well, wait a minute. If I didn't need the money, the way I would really practice is this way. I would much prefer to work with this type of person or these type of people. I'd much rather use this type of technique or this type of technology. I'd much rather do it this often or not do it as much. I'd much rather blank if I didn't need the money. If there is a gap between what you're doing now and what you would do if you didn't need the money, then this is the conversation for us to have in order to really sort of get it straight. I'll dare say get it in alignment. And the first way to sort of solve for this is to ask the question, how much money must you earn to not feel financially stressed out month after month after month? Jeff, we talk about this. This is the essence of our new book coming out, The Payday Practice. You'll all see it very soon if you're following what we're teaching and inviting consistently. Our next conversation we're bringing to the profession is this conversation. How much money must you earn to not feel financially stressed? What would your practice look like if you didn't need the money? And what can you do to generate monthly recurring revenue that covers your monthly recurring expenses so you're actually in the position to practice the way you want, with who you want, as much or as little as you want, because you don't need the money. Jeff, we've been collaborating on this. I checked the other day. I believe it is 4 years now from when we started the idea to now coming out with our book, coming out with all the support, training, programs, and actual tools you need in order to be able to generate monthly recurring revenue so that you can meet your monthly recurring expenses with monthly recurring revenue. That is the goal. That is what the payday is all about. Jeff, we've been talking about this for a while. I'm curious for your thoughts and comments on mindset of money and the difference between, we've experienced it in our business. We've done it both ways. We've had transactional businesses and we've got recurring revenue businesses. What's your message to everybody just about the mindset difference between transactions and, I'll call it, relationships, when people are on some sort of ongoing circumstance, membership, subscription? They're saying, let's do this over time. That's called a relationship. That's not, thank you, I feel better, call you when it hurts again. Maybe I'll call somebody else. Maybe I'll call you. I don't know. What do you think is the difference that most people need to know in order to really start owning this concept of getting their money straight?
I think the number one thing, Jason, is that you can do it. So if you're listening and watching, it is available to you. And then the second piece is, it's available to you regardless of how you practice as a chiropractor. Whether you practice in a adjustment first, adjustment only practice, whether you're in a multidisciplinary practice, whether you are in a sports performance practice, quite frankly, it doesn't matter. And here's why, is because your solution for a membership, a subscription, or a continuity program in your practice, here's the beautiful part, it can be a reflection of what are the needs of your ideal patients. And if everybody's practice is a little bit different, all of us get fired up by doing different things. Pediatric practices versus sports, as we said, subluxation and vitalistic practices versus more pain relief practices. However you practice as a chiropractor, I have yet to see a practice. And I was speaking with Brett Winchester of Gestalt Education this weekend. I said, I have yet to see a practice. Maybe there's one out there, but I have yet to see a type of practice that can't have a membership or subscription continuity program embedded into what they do. And I believe that that's really the biggest initial shift, is understanding first that it's possible and it's already happening in some cases. The second step is then really starting to identify how can you implement this in your practice. That's where we're going with the payday practice, is to really lay out the plan. But those are my big hitters, Jason. So many docs I feel like get caught up with, oh, well, that they can do that. They do that, whether that's another chiropractor as they, Amazon and Netflix as they, Athletic Greens and Ritual as they can do that. But I don't know. I'm a smaller practice in a town or in a community. That's exactly the reason why you actually should have it, because people love to support local businesses, and you can provide your patients, your people, your community with exactly what they want. And the second piece of that is, of course, well, what would I do? That's just a strategic thing. So that's the easy part. That's really just identifying who are you looking to attract, what are their needs, what are their goals and desires, what are the benefits you can provide. That's what helps to start sort it. We're going to get super detailed with payday practice, but those are my big ideas. How about yourself?
I think that's great. I think you're right on. And I do think, and that's why this is a mindset segment. It's not a business segment, because it all starts in your mind. It starts with your belief, your acknowledgement that it is possible for you to do. The next question, if you think it's possible for you to do, would be asking the question, well, why should I? Why would I change? Why would I do something? Why would I rock the boat? I'm getting by now just fine. Well, the answer is that there is a significant shift. You felt it. I felt it. There is a significant, palpable shift in our attitudes, in our beliefs, in our mindset, when you have the confidence to know that instead of the first of every month, let's be clear here, if you're in a transactional business, that means that on the first day of every month, your business goes back to zero in collections. That's the way we count it. It's a monthly thing, right? So on the same day that most people have to pay their rent, their mortgage, their lease payments, their insurance payments, all their monthly recurring expenses, that's what we're talking about. On the same day, usually most of those hit, is the same day our business goes back to zero in collections. And that's the insanity that keeps us on what's basically a treadmill, right? You're running, you're doing a lot of work, you're doing a lot of effort, and you're not getting forward. You're not moving forward anywhere because you're always playing financial catch up. The reason to make the shift, the reason to invest in what you now know you can do, the reason to shift and adjust your mindset to want to generate monthly recurring revenue is to reduce and eliminate your financial stress. If you knew that the first day of every month, you could cover all of your monthly recurring expenses on that day, how would your feeling, how would your practice, how would your life, how would your attitude, how would your self-esteem be different? That's the next part. Yes, I could do it. Why would I want to? Because living without monthly financial stress is freedom. That is joy. That is when you don't have that tension, that cloud, that frustration, and you actually emote and express a greater level of light, of joy, of attraction, because typically most people can smell when you're desperate. And that's really, I think, one of the bigger arguments. I don't think any chiropractor that's ever been in the situation that some smarty pants has not said, yeah, you know what the problem with you guys is? You always have to keep us coming back for more care, more care, more care. And that's because in some cases, when people present long-term care plans, they come across as being more needy for the patient to need to take the care than generous and articulate in why the person needs the care. And that desperation comes across, and it affects all of us. And so when you don't need the money, when you know your bills are going to be paid, when you have automatic monthly recurring revenue that meets your automatic monthly recurring expenses, and you can come from that freedom, then you can just share the truth, and people can make the choices of whether they want to participate or not, and you don't have to be negatively affected. That is an entirely different way to practice than most chiropractors are practice, and that's the invitation that we have. Jeff, I know I don't want to go too long on this, but your thoughts on the difference between knowing your expenses are going to be covered and hoping your expenses are going to be covered? What do you say?
Hoping's not going to cut it. So yeah,
Hope's not a strategy.
Yeah, that's it. Knowing your business expenses are covered each and every month is a fundamental shift. It enables you. It's not a shift in what you do. It enables what you do to be a heck of a lot more fun. It enables what you do to be that much more congruent, in alignment, however you define it, with exactly who you are and how you want to practice, because you have that financial stress relieved. I think it is the number one thing docs need to be thinking about, considering, starting to piece together. We've been teasing it pretty much most of the first half of this year. I know we are super pumped to get the Payday practice out there, which really is that playbook, that workbook, however you want to say it, showcasing exactly the specifics of what we're discussing. We're not going to stop discussing it. We're going to keep talking about it on this show, because as the book gets released, there's a lot of details we want to go into so that everybody listening and watching can really create their own Payday practice. But yes, you don't want to be hoping that the expenses are covered, because if that's the case, chances are you're going to come up short many, many times. What you want to do is have the systems and processes to get there. It's probably not as hard as you think. It doesn't mean it's easy. It's taken us a lot of time to put it together, but in the way we have, it's going to make it super easy for you really to accelerate this. You don't have to have technical knowledge. You don't need to feel like you're selling stuff. You don't need to change your practice whatsoever. We believe that you can have a Payday practice as a true and direct extension of what you're currently already doing. And the most important component of that is you can actually attract and retain more of your ideal patients by having the systems and processes that keep them engaged in your practice. Jason, you said it. I'm gonna hold us to it. We don't want to go too long in money mindset on today. This has been a fantastic segment. Please, if you are geeking out on the money mindset, and if you are geeking out on the mindset mentor segment each and every week, head over to YouTube. We have a playlist with every single mindset mentor segment listed out. Thank you so much for watching this video on the Smart Chiropractor. To not miss a single thing that's clinically oriented, marketing oriented, or more, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel today.